Good morning, everybody. Wow, what a week, right? Gosh, we had the Super Bowl. We have trains popping off the rails. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the train derailment in Ohio and two movies, both by the same name, called White Noise. Now, we had just decoded the movie White Noise. Let me get a sound check with you guys real quick. Hopefully there's no weird sound issues. That tends to happen sometimes. Looks like, are we good, you guys? Let's keep going with this. All right, everyone's good. Sound is good. Now, I don't even know where to start, you guys. I don't even know where to start. We covered White Noise, didn't we? And interestingly, when you type in Enter the Stars channel or Enter the Stars White Noise to find the videos that we did on it, which used to be a slam dunk, right? You get nothing. So the videos are hidden. Now, for your benefit, and this is for the future, always go to my channel. There's a search bar on the channel. That's the only way you're going to find videos by title. Otherwise, if you just do a YouTube search, it's not going to work. Oh, here it is, way down here. Here's our video here. We're going to watch that today, or part of it, later on in the show. But it's clear these things are being hidden from our view. They are being hidden from our view. So we have to do YouTube's job for them and replay parts of those two videos to expose the similarities between the Ohio train wreck and fire. And this will be our show today. Now, the uploads that we're going to look at later in the show were from before the derailment, before February 3rd. But first, we're going to look at this scene from iPetGo 2. A 7-minute animated film. This is it in the background here. And the train derailment. Now, about a year ago, when Chernobyl came under threat during the Stu-Crane War conflict, we matched the Chernobyl Wormwood nuclear plant logo. This is it right here. This is the actual logo on the Chernobyl building, the office building there. And we matched it with the object in the sky in iPetGo 2. And as you can see, this swirly gig little thing matches up almost exactly with the Chernobyl logo, which is this up here. And we had decided that this scene looked like it could be the Chernobyl disaster with the toxic plume cloud in iPetGo 2. They seemed to match up. But now we are getting another nested overlay of this event and the scene in iPetGo 2, and it appears as though this is also depicting the Ohio train derailment. Look at the cars here, piled up with the explosion. This is probably these two train cars up at this angle here, and the explosion probably best depicts the angle of these things sticking out of the ground and the explosion. You can even see these three things on the top of this one here, on the side of this, kind of match up even with this down here. These like little windows on the train car. Now, how would they be able to do something like this? Well, we're going to examine that today. Try to figure all this out. You know, the Bible actually forbids fortune telling. And on the same token, the Bible also concedes that the Pharaoh's magicians had some magical powers, didn't they? Janus and Jambres, the Egyptian magicians, were able to turn staffs into snakes in plain sight. So, who's to say these people don't have some kind of looking glass or way to see exact snapshots of future images? I don't know the answer to that, but it's interesting to ponder. Now, here's the weird thing. The Ohio train crash and Chernobyl are connected. How are they connected? They're connected in the calendar. Because the Ohio train derailment, which happened on 2/3, February 3rd, 2023, is exactly 2 months and 23 days away in the calendar. 2 months and 23 days between the events of the Chernobyl disaster and the Ohio disaster. So that's 322 backwards. Remember, 2/3, February 3rd, 2023, 2323. So the events are related in the calendar, as you can see here. February 3rd to April 26th is when the Chernobyl disaster happened. Wow. Now, before I play these white noise decodes from before the Ohio train derailment, understand that the real event happened 70 days after the movie released. The real event happened 70 days after White Noise released. And they're telling us that there were 70 agencies involved in this. 70 agencies. So we have another numerical synchronicity. Now, what I've done is I came back a couple days ago and I put together all of the train derailment sequences in the movie White Noise from 2022. And I'm putting that together for you right now. There's a little bit of extra stuff in here, but this is just from a couple days ago. I'm putting together these train derailment scenes, and this is chilling. The movie opens with a statement about staged crashes. Let me check in with you guys, and then we're going to get into this. This is nuts. Staged crashes. Okay, looks like we're good. Now, this is the opening of the film. Watch and listen.
The people who stage these crashes are able to capture a lightheartedness, a carefree enjoyment that car crashes in foreign movies can never approach.
Now, the backdrop of this guy is a professor, okay, at a school. I think he's actually at like a high school. And these people think they're so smart, and so they give these lectures. And watch again.
The people who stage these crashes are able to capture a lightheartedness, a carefree enjoyment that car crashes in foreign movies can never approach.
So this cringy, explanation of staged car crashes and how the American culture loves to watch a staged car crash in Hollywood. But now we're seeing the complete context of this, aren't we? Now that was Don Cheadle, I think he's like a comedian actor guy. He's in the movie. And again, this is the movie White Noise from 2022 if you're just tuning in. Now, then we get the train approaching. And here is the number of the train, 3010. And you can almost make out the date of the crash that had not happened yet, which is 2323. 1 and 1 is 2, 3, 2, 3. Now I know it's not exact, but these things are manifesting on a spiritual level. Because if this would have said 7, 4, then there is no 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 7, 4, is there? So it's hinting at 2, 3. Now let's keep watching. There's your toxic chemicals. The train approaches an intersection. The guy driving a truck is approaching the intersection as well. It's a 45-mile-an-hour zone. I'm not sure what significance that might have, but the guy's drinking Jack Daniels.
How familiar this all seems to us.
How familiar this all seems to us. Adam Driver says, and very quickly you're going to understand that the theme in the movie is deja vu, future deja vu, premonitions, things that haven't happened yet. Now, the crash scene in this movie appears and occurs amidst the backdrop of this poetic face-off between two of the teachers in front of the students, Don Cheadle versus Adam Driver, and they're basically giving some kind of poetic delivery, explaining Elvis and comparing Elvis to Hitler. Watch this. Adam Driver is the Hitler studies teacher. Don Cheadle is talking about Elvis. You heard him say death. And all this is happening during the train approaching the intersection, about to hit the orange truck. Red train, orange truck. So, flammable liquids. Now, like, we're not going to be able to cover all of the synchronicities going on with this event. Someone was telling me that the two contaminants in the real event formed mustard gas. There's all kinds of things that we're not going to be able to cover. So please forgive me if I don't get to every detail of this. But if I were to do that, we would literally be on here all day. And that would just be too much information. But leave comments below so everyone can see. I encourage everyone to read through the comments. We have a very rich comment section here on this channel. There's so much feedback. Most of the feedback that comes in through the comments I use for the next day's or the next following week's shows. So you can become part of the process of learning and exposing this stuff. Let's keep watching.
Did his mother know?
Now I've mixed up these scenes a bit to avoid the algos, but needless to say, they're having a debate comparing and contrasting Elvis and Hitler, and so I was looking for a connection between Elvis and Hitler and the real train derailment. Let's keep watching.
Thousands of uniformed mourners! Crowds came to form a shield against their own dying. To become a crowd is to keep out death.
Now, this is cringy because as he's talking about Hitler, it all hit me. Lisa Marie Presley's birthday was 2 days before the train derailment in Ohio.
There were ranks and squadrons, elaborate backdrops, blood banners, and black dress uniforms.
This is just crazy. Now, what does that mean? 2 days before. Is there a connection? I don't know. But this movie came out in 2022, long before Lisa Marie Presley died, long before she was sick. And now we have this weird connection. Now, I'm not sure about the Hitler connection and what that might mean, other than the fact that Elvis died at 42 years old and Hitler's birthday is on 420. Actually, yeah, it is 420. Is it 420 or 421? I always forget.
To break off from the crowd is to risk death as an individual, to face dying alone. So
there's the crash, the derailment. Now, here's what you're going to notice. The derailment was allegedly, in real life, caused by a faulty train axle. A lot of people saw it on fire for miles and miles and miles before it actually derailed. Sparks were coming out from the axle. Well, the truck hits the train. I mean, this might be a bit of a stretch. The truck's axles hitting the train. Could have been a connection there. Maybe not. You're also going to notice that the train crash precedes the fire. So the crash happens first and it doesn't immediately catch on fire. Now that did happen in real life exactly as it did in the movie. Watch. So remember, the train crash happened 2 days from Lisa Marie's birthday. Now, the obvious that I probably should state, because many of you are not following the story very closely yet, is that this white noise film was actually filmed in the exact area where the train crash would occur. It was filmed there. And there were actually actors that live in East Palestine that were actors in this film. So there, you see, there's no fire yet. The spill starts to happen, which is exactly what happened in real life. And then they decided to light it on fire in real life, didn't they? Because they needed to get this trail, the train lines moving. They didn't really care about the environmental impact. Think about this for a second. Theatrically, they could have just had the whole thing blow up in flames when the truck hit it, right? But they didn't. All right. We've run into this before. Got knocked off. Are we back? Unbelievable. It's only happened a couple times. Over the target. When's the last time this happened? Remember they shut off the internet? Had to reboot the entire router? They do not want this information out there. So what was the last thing you guys heard? What was the last thing you heard before I got shut off? Let's see. I don't want to leave anything out. All right. Excuse me. The blood dripping down. Okay. Let's go back to that. The tank spilling. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go back. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's go back to that part. I'll have to redo this here. Okay. The oil coming out of the tank. That was a bit ago. Oh boy. Here we go. All right. So, I think what we were saying here was that you're going to notice that the train crash precedes the fire. The train crash precedes the fire, just like in real life. And I also mentioned that in real life, it was a faulty train axle that caused the problem, right? People saw it sparking and arcing for 20, 30 miles before it finally caught fire. Well, the truck smashing into the train in the movie, its front axle, could be a connection there as well. But notice that the spill happens first, then the fire, just like in real life. Let's watch. See the scenes of Hitler and Elvis. Here's the real train crash. And then the fake train crash, which is really real, right? From the movie. Now, also compared the black smoke and fire. You could almost see the demonic faces in the fire. Kind of like when 9/11 happened. You could almost see the demonic faces in the fire and smoke. And it seems to be happening again in this event. Look at this fire. Look at the demonic faces inside of it. Now, I've got more dialogue here I want you to listen to, and it is chilling. Chilling. Gonna have to keep an eye on, make sure we stay connected.
The seasons drift. Do not advance the action according to a plan.
They literally call it the airborne toxic event in the movie.
May the days be aimless.
There's lots of smoke, and I don't like the looks of it.
What does it look like? Hey, what do you see out there?
The radio said a tank car derailed, but I don't think it derailed from what I could see.
What
I
did
think
you-
it got rammed and something punched a hole in it.
It won't come this way.
How do you know?
It just won't. The point is you
So Adam Driver's in denial, and the children are the one that raise the alarm. We're like, we need to evacuate.
shouldn't be standing on slippery ledges. You see fire engines or...
They're all over the place. Only it looks to me like they're not getting too close. It must be pretty toxic or pretty explosive stuff.
Can't go into long towards the
It's called
description.
niodine derivative, or niodine D. We saw it in a movie in school. It's like a shapeless growing thing, a dark black breathing thing of smoke.
So niodine derivative, I don't know if that was in the real spill or not.
What do they call the plume?
If it gets any bigger, it'll get here with or without a wind.
It won't get here.
How do you know?
Because it won't.
The radio calls it a feathery plume, but it's not a plume.
That's what Dad said.
What is it?
Toxic waste.
What does it cause?
Videotape
The movie wasn't sure what it does to humans. Mainly it was
So they're talking about a movie that they saw this happen in, and they're comparing it to the event in the movie.
rats growing urgent lumps.
But that's what the movie said. What does the radio say?
But that's what the movie said. What does the radio say? But that's what the movie said. What does the radio say? But that's what the movie said. What does the radio say?
Skin irritation and sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms and rats.
The radio,
But
not
then they updated it to nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath.
The radio or the movie?
Both.
When there's a wind this time of year, it blows that way, not this way.
What if it blows this way?
It won't. Society is set up, sadly, in such a way that it's the poor and uneducated who suffer the main impact. There's a wind this time of year, it blows that way, not this way.
What if it blows this way?
It won't. Society is set up, sadly, in such a way that it's the poor and uneducated who suffer the main impact.
The poor and uneducated suffer. That's how society is set up.
Of natural and man-made disaster.
The impact of natural and man-made disasters.
These things happen to people who live in exposed areas.
These things happen to people who live in exposed areas.
You know nothing's going to happen, but at some level, we ought to think about it just in case. It's just, when do we know when this is real? Let's think about the billowing cloud just a little bit, okay? What if it's dangerous?
Everything in train tank cars is dangerous.
Now, he's holding a box of corn niblets. Everybody's been talking about contamination of the food. Bird's eye corn niblets. Now let's keep watching here because he says something here about a slow death.
At some level, we ought to think about it just in case. It's just, when do we know when this is real? Let's think about the billowing cloud just a little bit, okay? What if it's dangerous?
Everything in train tank cars is dangerous, but not from this. All we have to do is stay out of the way.
Let's just be sure to keep it in the back of our mind,
But the effects are mainly long range.
so we die later.
We don't die.
The effects are long range. Now he says in here slow death. I don't think I gathered that clip. But So, this white noise movie from 2022 prompted me to look at another movie by the same name that came out in 2005, starring Michael Keaton. And what I found was chilling. The date of the Ohio train disaster appears in the 2005 white noise movie throughout the movie as the time on the clock when Michael Keaton's wife dies, 2/3/23. Now I'm going to check in with you guys, and we're going to get into some clips from that 2005 movie. Welcome, everyone. Sorry we got kicked off, but that's part of the game, right? Here it is right here, white noise. And let me give you a quick backdrop, and I've muted some of these parts to remove the jump scares and the creepy music, because I believe that some of the white noise special sound effects could have demonic, entities in them, which is probably why I got attacked last night in my sleep. But I have no fear. I prayed to Jesus and to God in his name, and they were immediately gone. We have the power to tread on serpents, says the Bible. So never ever be afraid when you come under demonic attack. Just rebuke the spirits and they run. But I had to expose myself to it last night watching this movie, which I do not recommend that you watch, in order to bring you this decode today. And this is some of the most telling evidence, because the 2022 white noise movie, it didn't really make sense as to why they named it white noise. I mean, I know it was based on a novel, but basically it was a throwback to this movie, as you'll see very soon here, because both have themes of deja vu, for instance, which you're going to hear in the 2022 white noise movie, and also in the 2005 white noise movie. Now, the film opens with a quote, basically saying that when we die, we go into a sphere, which is obviously a lie. But the company who made the film is called Gold Circle Films. The coronal ring. Now let's keep watching here. This is unbelievable. Nobody knows whether our personalities pass on to another existence or a sphere. We were just talking about this sphere yesterday, weren't we? Let's keep watching here. Now this is muted. There's music, but I muted it. If we can evolve an instrument so delicate as to be manipulated by our personality as it survives in the next life. This is obviously New Age thinking. Such an instrument ought to record something. So the whole movie's about this process of using instruments, electronic instruments, to record the afterlife. They call it in the movie EVP, and you'll hear him explain what that is in a minute. But these were direct quotes from Thomas Edison, 1928. Now we know that Tesla was involved in this spirit realm and electromagnetics and all this. And we know that all of the people during that time period, during that era, were also integral in basically connecting with the occult. We know this. The first televisions, they said, channeled spirits. This is unbelievable. Now, here we're going to get some sound. And this is the exact moment in the film where essentially his wife went out to go out with a friend, and she's abducted, and he's waiting up for her in the kitchen. And at the precise moment she dies, the clock reads 2:30. Remember, the train derailed on 2/3/23. 2:30. The clock stops at 2:30, stops ticking, Keaton walks in. He notices the clock's not ticking. He looks up at the clock, and it's stuck at 2:30. You can't make this up. And this happens throughout the film. 23. Now, Keaton is told, his name's Jonathan in the film, we'll start calling him Jonathan. He's told that his wife fell down a rock levee while trying to change a tire. She hit her head, and the tide came up, and she drowned in the river. Essentially, she got derailed like a train. Now, she was pregnant just before this, so it was her and her child that died. Now, I muted that part out because there's a jump scare and the radio comes on and you hear white noise. They want to scare you guys. Now, John begins to hear his wife coming through white noise from various electronic devices.
Latest novel, The Eternal Wait, is scheduled for release this fall, and her husband, architect Jonathan Rivers, is said to be taking time out.
Here's another 2:30, 23.
You have one message. Message received Wednesday, 23rd. 2:30 a.m.
Another 23. These are sprinkled throughout the movie.
So, have you heard of EVP?
So, Jonathan basically starts hearing his wife coming through these various electronic devices, and the 2:30 keeps appearing, and he goes to see this guy who specializes in EVP. Listen to how he explains this.
Mr. Rivers? No. I'm not surprised. I mean, those that have call P stands for electronic voice phenomenon. I'm not a medium, and with EVP, I can hear them, I can see them, and I can record them.
Now, the guy is mysteriously murdered. This guy right here, he's mysteriously murdered. Let me put him back here. This guy. And so, Jonathan is left to pick up the pieces. He becomes the new EVP researcher. He takes, he builds his own lab to start listening in for his deceased wife. And then we hear the number 23 again.
Wow. These go back years.
23 to be precise.
Carol should know.
Now, how is this happening? Well, I'm just showing you the evidence. Then things go off the rails. Gosh, how weird is that? How many times have we said that? Things going off the rails. Because next you're going to hear Willow.
Willow Avenue. They're showing me Willow Avenue. Yes?
Now, this scene, Jonathan goes to see a spirit medium try to connect with his wife. She's blind. And she says Willow Avenue. And Jonathan's like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Well, later in the film, it is the location that his deceased wife is trying to tell him where an accident has happened, and he's supposed to go there and save a baby from a car that's about to get electrocuted from power lines. So Michael Keaton goes to Willow Avenue. Now, we've been talking all about Willow, haven't we? The willowing is the baldness. That's what it does. Alopecia. Well, Michael Keaton is now bald. Remember the video the other day we uploaded about the willowing machine and Lincoln and the hypodermic needles, and I explained all of it, right? We looked at that sawtooth-edged, serrated edge around the sun on that Guinness clock. Well, you're about to see that here too. Watch.
No Willow Street. No Willow Terrace.
Willow Avenue. Are you sure they keep showing me Willow Avenue?
No. No Willow Avenue.
So he goes to Willow Avenue. He finds the car crash underneath the power lines. The mother dies, but he's able to save the child out of the car.
Okay, so she's showing me things that haven't happened yet.
So John realizes that what's actually coming through the white noise are glimpses of the future. A future deja vu premonition, which was exactly the theme in the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. Glimpses of the future.
Anna's showing you things that haven't happened.
Right. Number two, she's showing me things that are here, not somewhere else. They're right here in this city, right here.
Right here in white noise, right here in East Palestine, right here, right here, right here.
Where I can maybe do something. I've seen things that haven't happened yet. You understand?
Now, every time one of these researchers gets close to solving exactly what's happening, the white noise spirits come through the veil and they trash all their equipment and they kill the researcher. But look at the fallout in this next scene here. Reminds me of I Pet Goat 2. The fallout. The fallout. The fallout. Here's another 2:30. So, John is then prompted by his ghost wife to a second address, and this is where you see the willowing buzzsaw that we've been covering at length. Now you understand what this is all about. It's all connected. The baldness, the alopecia, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Artemis being found under the tree by Alopecia, found under a willow tree, an ancient mythology. The serrated edge. This is how they de-wool a sheep, with the willow. This is why they basically covertly were using Jada Pinkett as some kind of a secret spokesperson. And this is why Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, to draw attention to the fact that Chris Rock was making fun of his wife for her hair. And then they sold the alopecia medication because they already knew a bunch of people were going bald from what they're doing. So why not make some money off of it?
When in the room.
Another 2:30. Now, I didn't count how many times it appears. I don't know how many times it would appear, but probably at least 5 times. And this is the last scene of the movie. Another 2:30 appears on the clock after John is killed by the beings, after he saves the second victim from that warehouse that you just saw. And they have the funeral, and this is his ex-wife and his son. And on the radio, John tries to speak through to them, but they turn him off. He apologizes to his son for dying. The movie ends. And then the Holy Spirit whispered in my ear, and he says, "You're not done yet. Look up where Michael Keaton was born." And I thought to myself, there's no way there's a connection between Michael Keaton and the train disaster. But there was. He was born 33 miles from the train disaster. You can't make this up. You can't stretch it. 33 miles. Now, you can look this up yourself in Google Earth. He was born in Pennsylvania. I'm going to show you here next. Kennedy Township, Allegheny County. There it is. So, what's the inference here? Well, never ever avoid the still small voice when the Holy Spirit's trying to talk to you. That's the first lesson. I do that sometimes because I still haven't learned my lesson. And I'll pass up things. For instance, I should have listened when the Holy Spirit told me to look at the other white noise movie. I had it pulled up on a tab. I almost decoded it back then before this happened. Maybe had I decoded it and listened, then we could have put these freaks on notice. And they would have thought twice about what happened there. Wouldn't they have? But I didn't listen. And so now here we are after the fact. Hindsight is 2020. So let me give you a summary. The inference here is that the 2022 white noise film about the train derailment in Ohio, where it was actually filmed, was in fact predicting the future. Because it was a direct reference to the other film, White Noise, with Michael Keaton, where he was born 33 miles away. Now, we're going to finish the show by looking at the decodes on the 2022 White Noise film that we did before this train accident. We're not going to watch the whole thing of these live shows. I'm just going to give you the segments where we covered this, because it's important that we look back at this to see if there are any clues pointing forward to the actual train disaster. Because sometimes I say things that we look back, we're like, whoa, that is crazy. So, these are decodes that we did from last month before the train disaster. Let's first check in with you guys, and then we will watch about 30 minutes worth of this. Make sure you guys are with me. All right, good. We're still connected. All right, very good. Okay, let's keep going here. Welcome, everyone. Let's watch and listen. Let's get into this white noise clip. Now, a lot of you had asked me to look at this. It is a comedy, so I don't really do comedies. They're just hard for me to get through for some reason. I like more science fiction and stuff like that, and, you know, maybe a drama here and there. But there is a clip that was released on YouTube that we're going to look at today. We're not going to play the sound on it for copyright because we're going to get flagged. But it's from this TV series called White Noise. Now, apparently, what you're going to see here are the closing credits from the series, except they removed the credits. So typically what you would see here is the credits rolling across it, but they removed those. Okay, so you're only seeing the imagery, the visual imagery. And as I showed you earlier in the show, the thumbs down on this is half. 50% of the people thumbs down this video, but you don't see any critical comments down below, and obviously the comments were capped or reduced, because for a video that got 333,000 views, there's another number, right? There should be thousands of comments, should there? So this gives me hope, because what this, I believe, does is shows us that people are waking up, and they're tired of being gaslighted through entertainment. They're tired of being made fun of. They're starting to wake up to it. They're starting to realize that what programming is. Now, most of this clip is about mocking people's inability to have self-control. That's what this is about. And the chorus is actually, I need a new body. So instead of having self-control, taking care of the body you have, the chorus is, I need a new body, which is what somebody would say who's asleep to the agenda. They'd be like, oh, I just need another one. Just give me another one, because we live in a consumer society. You just throw away the old one. I'm interrupting myself here, because what this is the trailer for the movie White Noise 2022, and the trailer is essentially the closing credits of the film. Now, very few people know how to get there because of the intense programming that makes us unhealthy, which in turn enriches the pharmaceutical companies who get rich off of our health. So I got some timestamps here, and I've got the captions in the bottom. First one is 2 minutes and 1 second is our first caption here. And they talk about the ransom and defense has drained us with their expense. The ransom and the defense has drained us with their expense. Now he's dancing in the, what do they call this? Generic aisle. Remember this back in the day? There was a whole aisle dedicated to all the generic stuff. But everybody knew that, yeah, you could shop in the generic aisle, but this is the stuff that'll kill you the quickest. In the black and white aisle. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I remember this. Many of you who are younger probably won't remember the generic aisle. But it was creepy. There was a whole aisle, and it had all the food, but it was like half price, and it was in the generic aisle. Now, let's go to 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Because then they say, I try not to hide it. I try not to buy it. But you can't just sit on the fence. Wow. So, sitting on the fence. They're showing people's inability to have self-control. So they're dancing around in this creepy, like, ritual dancing. I'll put a link to this, of course, in the description, in the pinned comment, I mean. And you'll be able to watch this for yourself with the music and everything. Then we go to 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and they'll talk about chipped and deviced. Okay, 2 minutes and 33 seconds. There's that 23 again. If you had any questions about how they were gaslighting and making fun of us, we are the products on the shelf, you guys. We are the products on the shelf. That's the inside joke. We have a shelf life. And we believe we've been mispriced. They put the wrong price tag on us. And then they basically, essentially, discard us after our shelf life is up, don't they? We are the products on the shelf. Now, let's keep going to the next timestamp here, 3 minutes and 46 seconds. And I really want to thank the people that asked me to look at this. This is very important in waking people up, because they see how they make fun of us. Here, they sing about needing a new party that's in the middle. I need a new body. I need a new party. That's like a political party, right? But then it goes on to mock people's inability to be in the middle. I need a new body. I need a new party to represent my needs. I think this is that rapper. I think that's him. He's older now. Can't remember his name. Coolio? No, not Coolio. It's the other guy. I need a new party to represent my needs. He's holding... Yeah, the distance is growing, but so is the longing. And whoa, the pineapple. Whoa, we were just talking about the pineapple, weren't we? It appeared in all those Super Bowl ads. See, it's always beneficial to go in hindsight. There's the guy with the pineapple. Now I know pineapples are here, but look at this. It's the scent. Look at this. And this is the pineal crown. Now, someone else noticed that the Sphere in Vegas has the same pattern, same Fibonacci pattern that is on a pineapple. And I would tend to agree with you. Wow. And they're in the produce session, which leaves the in-between. That's the middle. This is what we've been telling you guys. Don't choose a party. They're both corrupt. And they're all just looking at the fruit, but nobody's buying it. And so this is the end or near to the end. And then we get to the end of this thing at about 6 minutes. And the camera just focuses in on the checkout aisles here. And essentially they talk about a person ascending. Basically, you die, is what they're saying. Don't look down. Don't go to the light. But then at the end, they tell you to go to the light. Go into the light. Into the stars, they say, or whatever. And what a weird series. Now, again, I'm probably not going to watch the series. And then I ended up watching it. And it's actually a movie, not a series. Just because it's going to be dry comedy, and that will be like nails on a chalkboard for me. But I think this clip says it all. If any of you have watched the series. So now let's go to the second decode where I actually watched it. And this one we go in depth. And here we're going to see a lot of disclosure as well. Again, this released last month before the train derailment. Let's watch. Let's get into white noise. Now, there were several themes that in this film that we have been covering. And now this came out a couple months ago, but I hadn't seen it. And here we are doing decodes on the movie Deja Vu, as well as Monkey Shines. And then I pull this movie up, White Noise, and it's got the same subjects in it. Deja Vu, Monkey Shines, a Casablanca poster, all the stuff that we had just decoded. Phone booths. Weird, right? Let's get started on this. So I'm going to give you the backdrop so that you're not lost of the plot of White Noise. Basically, it's an average white family. Actually, I guess you could call them middle class, like a middle class family. The father's like a professor at like a university. And all of them are really smart, like book smart. And it's from the 1980s. And they realize that there's been a chemical spill nearby. And basically a trucker runs into a train. The train's derailed. And some kind of toxic cloud has been released. But it takes them some time to come to terms with this fact that they need to evacuate. And it seems like the children are the ones that are on top of it, investigating it, and trying to convince their parents that we need to get out of here. Let's take a look at this. Now, the first thing that happens is the son grabs his binoculars to take a look at this toxic cloud out the window. And on the shelf is the clapping monkey, called him Money, from Monkey Shines. Remember this monkey? We just covered this a couple weeks ago. Now, this monkey has made its cameo appearance in several films. But the weird thing is we just got done decoding this monkey in Monkey Shines, which was one of the first appearances of the clapping monkey. Now, the books that you see on the shelf, as you can see, they're all occult books, not of this world. The occult, what does this say? Year of the Witch, Witches and Witchcraft. Essentially, these belong to the mother of the family, who basically signed up for an experimental drug trial to cure her fear of death. And during her journey of trying to figure out what's wrong with her, why she fears death, which is kind of ludicrous because everybody fears death, right? But she becomes consumed with it. And part of her journey, she goes into these occult books, but she hides them in the attic so that her family doesn't know what she's going through. Let's keep watching.
Hundreds of people to recall their previous life experiences.
Now, this is the mother here, and she's reading a tabloid. And on the back, we get another monkey shines clue. Let's take a look. It says, human brain put in chimp. Now, what makes this interesting is this is the theme from the TV or from the movie Monkey Shines. Monkey brains mixed with humans. Now, this actually really happened during polio in the smack scene, the polio poker, we'll call it. What they did during that time, I think it was in the 50s, 1950s, is they were culturing the poker in monkey cells. That's how they made it. That's how they manufactured it. And a bunch of people ended up getting sick from monkey flu or simian flu. Simian means monkey. So essentially, they're telling you the truth here.
As pyramid builders, exchange students, and extraterrestrials. In the last year alone.
What was the cause?
So, as the toxic cloud threat menaces over the town, rumors start flying about the possible side effects of exposure. And, of course, one of the side effects is deja vu, which is another movie that we just covered a few days ago. Watch.
Heart palpitations and a sense of deja vu.
Deja vu, come on.
It affects the false part of the human brain, or whatever.
I don't believe
But that's not all.
Come here, what'd they say?
It doesn't cause nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, like they said before.
Man, Ronald Reagan, you know he was originally going to be in Casablanca.
So I'm interrupting myself again. So you heard him mention deja vu as a side effect. That dovetails in with the other white noise movie from 2005 with Michael Keaton, in which he talks about seeing the future, different type of deja vu, and also the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, where he looks into the future as well. So they're telling us essentially that white noise was a glimpse of an event that had not happened yet. Let's keep watching. Then you just heard Casablanca. Again, that was in the movie Monkey Shine. It was a poster on the wall, remember? Casablanca. And we decoded that as meaning White House. And we looked at the mathematics in Monkey Shine, and we saw that it predicted the presidency of Donald Trump in the White House in that movie.
Heinrich seems to be coming out of his shell.
Where is he? I haven't seen him.
Why do we think these things happened before? Simple. They did happen before. In our minds as visions of the future.
So there you go. This is gold. Visions of the future. They tell you right there that it's something that hasn't happened yet.
Simple. They did happen before. In our minds as visions of the future. Any episodes of Deja Vu in your group?
No.
Any episodes of Deja Vu in your group?
Supernatural stuff.
Maybe when we die, the first thing we'll say is, I know this feeling.
So obviously they're talking about deja vu, and it becomes a central theme of the movie. Let's keep watching.
I was here before.
You were standing there, I was standing here. Your features incredibly sharp and clear. I saw this before.
Saw what before?
It all happened before, hissing in the pipes. Tiny little hairs standing out in your pores. That identical look on your face.
So this is Adam Driver. He plays the father of the family. And they're all holding out and kind of running from this toxic cloud. And they are grouped up with all these people. In this particular case, he's in a karate studio with this group of people as they're trying to escape the toxic cloud. Let's keep watching here.
It was 9 days before they told us we could go back home.
Now, as I said before, the mom is secretly involved in taking an experimental drug to cure her fear of dying. And the guy giving her the pills basically manipulates her into some kind of pill for sex arrangement that she doesn't tell her husband about. And then they play a song here. The song is There's No Difference Between Red and Blue. And this is as she's about to take another one of these pills. Watch.
There's no difference between the blue and the red. Cloud is coming.
I answered.
So Obviously, this is exactly what I've been telling you guys. There's no difference between blue and red. And they're like mocking us because they understand that if given the choice, we will always choose evil, albeit what we believe is a lesser evil. But oftentimes this lesser evil ends up becoming the greater evil because we're being tricked. We're being lied to by both sides. So we think we're choosing the lesser evil, but we're actually marching ourselves right down a path that has already been pre-selected and predestined by the powers that be. Why do you think they chose Trump to be the president during the pandemic? All you have to do is look at Trump World Tower next to the UN, surrounded by pharmaceutical headquarters. That's all you have to do. If nothing else I say sinks in this particular show, go into Google Earth, look up Trump World Tower. Understand that Bill Gates was in that building as a tenant. Understand that Russians were in that building as a tenant. Understand that the building was not even supposed to pass the regulations in terms of being able to be built because it towered over the United Nations building. But yet he was allowed to build it anyway. And lo and behold, he's our president. And there's all these rumors of Russian collusion, rumors. And then, lo and behold, Bill Gates, the very tenant that was in that building, is pretending to go against Trump during the whole pandemic. And now all of a sudden he's silent. These people are all friends. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can get to the bottom of everything that's happening and how we're being tricked. Novartis, within 2 blocks of Trump World Tower in the United Nations. Pfizer, Bristol Myers Squibb.
I answered the ad and was interviewed by a small firm doing research in psychobiology. Let's call the company Gray Research, although that's not the true name.
So she comes clean and she admits to her husband that she basically started taking these pills because of her fear of death as she answered an ad in a tabloid. I mean, talk about walking right into a trap. Now, she, in describing this to her husband, she doesn't want him to get upset. So she tries to basically make it an anonymous confession. She doesn't give any names. She doesn't really describe people. She calls them Gray Research.
Let's call my contact Mr. Gray.
And her contact is Mr. Gray. And the first thing that came to mind, well, let's see what you guys, what's the first thing that's going to come to your mind when you hear Gray Research and Mr. Gray? Let's see who gets it or what you guys think. Oh boy, this is crazy. Listen to this part next. UFO disclosure. Wow. Listen, you guys. They're really getting out here. Thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. Let's see. Love you, Casey. Been me since the beginning. France and back. Awesome. I may do a France marathon. Would you guys enjoy that? I mean, it's a different kind of facet of this channel. Different feel. Me in the garden with the chickens. You know, maybe we'll do something like that if you know, enough of you think that that's a good idea. All right. So let's see who get the Grays. Yes, absolutely. That's the first thing that I thought was gray aliens. Right. So good job. And I think that that's exactly what they're referring to. Let's go back in here. So there you go. Before any of these UFOs were being shot down, she's talking about grays. Look at the lamp. This was a decode from a month ago, you guys. Wow. Let's keep going here. So gray aliens, which would be like the fallen ones, right? I don't particularly believe aliens from outer space other than fallen from heaven, right?
I was reading a tabloid in line. There was an ad, never mind exactly what it said. Volunteers wanted for secret research. This is Mr. Gray is a composite. I was eventually in touch with 3 or 4 or more people at the firm.
Now this is scrambled. You know, for people that don't understand how YouTube works, you're allowed to use, well, I don't want to give away the secret because the algorithm will then adjust to that and then we won't be able to show you guys these clips. But just suffice it to say, this is tricky editing that I have to do. It takes a lot of time to do this. I have to go into a program and trick the editing in order to fall under fair use and be able to use these clips, okay? So it's a little bit out of order is what I'm trying to say. But when I put it back in my own order, I try to still make it make sense so that you can understand the dialogue.
He found a dilar receptor in the human brain and was putting the finishing touches on the tablet itself. We were to be test subjects in the development of a super experimental and top secret drug, codename Dilar.
So Dilar is the name of this drug. And interestingly, think about it. It's to cure your fear of dying, and then they call it Dilar. So that's kind of interesting. So obviously they're mocking people's desire to cure something that they think they need to be cured of, and they're willing to take an experimental drug to do it. So this whole movie is gaslighting. Gaslighting us after what we just went through and making fun of the people that kind of went along. Now, in this next part, we've been talking about cats, haven't we? And Sunday's show will be about the year of the cat in the Vietnamese zodiac calendar. This is the year of the cat. It's also the year of the rabbit in the Chinese zodiac calendar. So we're going to be breaking that down on Sunday because I didn't know that this was going to be the year of the cat, but we've been talking about cats for at least 3 months now, haven't we? Because the programming has been showing us that cats will become the future of whatever their next thing that they're going to do is. In fact, Adam Driver was in the movie Dead Don't Die, and we decoded that, and there was a cat component to that film as well. This was just before the pandemic. And essentially, in that movie, the cats start going crazy and scratching their owners. And we had decided that it maybe wasn't the cat spreading the disease in the movie The Dead Don't Die, but maybe the cats were reacting to something in the people, something that they were poked with. So listen to these cat mentions here.
Also, Muffin. And Wendell, but of course Wendell was a cat.
Murray, I need your car keys.
Payne. Also, Muffin. And Wendell, but of course Wendell was a cat.
So in this scene, you just heard the cat, right? Adam Driver is going through all of the trash because his daughter told him mom threw away the pills that cures her fear of death. And so Adam Driver starts basically obsessing about his own death because some weird science guy, when they were running from the toxic cloud, was checking everyone, making sure they were okay, and seeing if they had been exposed to the toxic cloud. Adam Driver admits he was exposed to the toxic cloud, and the guy tells him, you're gonna die. You have, it might not kill you now, but it's gonna kill you, in 5 years or 10 years. Which anybody can say that, right? And this guy wasn't even a doctor who's telling him this. But it just goes to show the power of suggestion. That now I'm interrupting myself again because this is something to look for. All the fear that's been created by this toxic cloud, we should be on the lookout for agencies that come in and tell everybody, test them and say, oh, you're going to die, slow death. And to cure that fear of death, we're going to give you this. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, let's keep going. We believe people in authority. We believe whatever they say. And your fear of death will overtake you. And then you're easily manipulated and controlled, and you'll do whatever these people tell you to do. So they're making fun of that. Think of the irony of this. Think of the evil that would make a film like this, making fun of all the people who went along with what they were told to do. And then now they're laughing at you. These very actors who were on stage and in interviews shaming people for not going along with the program. And then now they laugh at you in these movies. Movies like this should wake you up. So, Adam Driver is obsessed. He thinks he's going to die. And then his wife says she was in a secret program to cure her death, cure her fear of death. But it doesn't work. Even though she told him it didn't work, it didn't cure her fear of death, he wants to try it anyway because he thinks it's going to be different for him. So he's going through the trash to try to find the pills that his wife threw away. And then he's like, and he's angry that his wife slept with that guy. So he's going to pull the gun out and he's going to kill the guy and get some pills to cure his fear of death. Unbelievable.
Hello. I'd like to buy some Dylar. Rid the fear. Rid the fear.
So he starts to lose it, consumed with jealousy and anger at the pharmaceutical company who used his wife in more ways than one. He calls the contact that he digs up out of the trash can, and he finds the contact's phone number in a tabloid. Think about how they're making fun of us here. That we would actually go into a tabloid and join some kind of random thing just because we see an ad in a tabloid. So it's all mockery, right? And so he gets the guy on the phone. He's in the phone booth, of course, which is loaded symbolism, what we've already covered. If you don't know about the phone booths, go on the channel and search the title phone, and your mind will be opened. You will be awake. Because these phones are everything. These phone booths. These are actually scale models of the Twin Towers, believe it or not. Aluminum facade filled with money, because it's world trade, right? Filled with copper money. And the copper is the portal that opens. So through the sacrifice in the phone booth, the copper opens the portal of mass sacrifice, and it's mind control of the masses. It induced people to go to war based on a lie. So he calls this guy up and he pretends to want to buy the dialar, but his real intention is to murder this guy.
Clear the grid. I want some dialogue.
So he shows up to the guy's hotel. The guy tells him which hotel to come to. And instead of being some guy in a suit, some rich pharmaceutical manufacturer, it's some weird guy sitting in a seedy hotel in his underwear. And this enrages Adam Driver even more, because he realizes his wife basically got used. And these are the real drug pushers behind it all. There's pills strewn out all over the ground, and the drug pusher is essentially eating them like candy. And on the TV in the background is playing the song.
What do you want?
I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, from 1918, the year of the Spanish flu, by Charles Harrison. So the movie ends with Adam Driver shooting the pusher, but it doesn't kill him because he has his little tiny gun, which it's all symbolic because his professor friend gives him this gun, but it's a little tiny gun. So basically Adam Driver's been emasculated, right? A little gun versus a big gun. See the symbolism here? And they're basically making fun of all of us, men who are emasculated. In the film, the wife has kind of all the power. She uses emotions to manipulate Adam Driver. I mean, the fact that she admits to him that she just got used for a whole year, and Adam Driver doesn't just divorce her and say, you know what, you're crazy, I'm out of here. The fact that happens shows the manipulation. So they're making fun of men as well. All the men who just go along with the program, right? I mean, not to say you shouldn't forgive somebody, but this went on for an entire year. And while she pretended, that she loved him. So the movie ends with Driver shooting the pusher, doesn't kill him. And then his wife shows up to the hotel. And the inference is that she's there to get more pills. So she's still lying to him, but she finds her husband and the pusher in the bathroom who's shot laying in the bathroom. Right? So it's just one big weird ending. They both decide they're going to save the pusher because the pusher gets amnesia. He starts forgetting who shot him. So they convince the pusher that, oh, you shot yourself, but we're going to help you. So they take him to this hospital that's run by atheist nuns. And they save his life, and then that's it. Unbelievable. So what is this movie really about? Let's kind of sum this up here. Let me go back into the chat. What is this movie really about? Well, it's about fear. It's about fear that makes people do dangerous things, isn't it? Look where they got us here. Fear. Unbelievable. Why is it every time we click back into the chat, they show 666 or 888 people watching? Freaking YouTube. So this is about fear, isn't it? Now we're going to talk a little bit about fear because the Bible talks about fear in the book of Luke. Luke 21:26. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. This is about fear and what fear does to people. Fear makes people do dangerous things, doesn't it? Like taking an experimental drug in the movie. And fear is about how other people capitalize on that fear to take advantage of other people and to make money. And you have to wonder, is this passage in Luke happening now? What causes someone to trust billionaires with their health over Jesus? What causes someone to do that? Well, it would be fear. Now, the Bible says over and over again, let not your heart be troubled. Have no fear. It tells us this. Why would it say that? Because God knows how the enemy uses fear to manipulate people. Fear of losing your life, fear of losing your property. These are the things that cause you to sin. Now, we know that people's fear is reaching an all-time high. And we know that people's hearts have been failing. It's in the headlines, isn't it? So, that is pretty much what I wanted to show you guys as a recap to a previous decode we did on white noise. Let me check in with you, and then we're going to quickly review the current headlines of the train derailment. I've got this Daily Mail article pulled up. Ohio residents hit by wave of sickness. This is the Daily Mail. After train carrying toxic chemicals exploded and engulfed surrounding neighborhoods in black smoke. This one was released on February 14th. Vinyl chloride, isobutylene, ethyl hexyl acrylate. They're saying that this has caused cancers in some people. Vomiting. When it burned, it released phosgene. Residents have complained about headaches, nausea, feeling terrible. East Palestine. Now again, we just talked about fear. No need to be afraid of this. If you have somewhere to go, I would definitely think about that, though. We're not supposed to test the Lord our God, right? So we get out of harm's way when it's coming towards us, like many of the people in the Bible did. Okay, so if you have somewhere to go to get away from all this, you should probably try to do that. But this cloud is covering hundreds of miles. So many people don't have anywhere to go. Many people have to work. That's when you pray. Pray that God spares you from this. But look at this. Health concerns for Ohio residents are growing after a train carrying toxic chemicals crashed and engulfed surrounding neighborhoods in black smoke. East Palestine resident Melissa Henry told the Associated Press her youngest son's eyes turned red as tomatoes. He was coughing a lot. Before they evacuated, another resident 10 miles from the derailment had her 6 chickens die days after the chemical fire started. Taylor Holzer, registered fox keeper who lives outside the evacuation perimeter, said that her foxes were ill and one died. Dead fish also spotted in the waterways around the scene after the incident. February 3rd, 2/3. And now you're seeing all this coming together. Here's the actual and this area is actually much larger than this. This is what they're showing us. There are maps out there that show the entire or half the state of Ohio and half the state of Pennsylvania affected by this. Remember, white noise. Michael Keaton lives or was born 33 miles from this location. Here is the cloud. Just gives you an idea of how big it is. Look at this ominous picture. Now, there were scenes in the movie White Noise, the 2022 version, of this dark cloud that I didn't include in that decode there. As they're driving away from the cloud and evacuating at night, the cloud overtakes them, and that's when Adam Driver is exposed to it. So this is a deep dive. This is why we're spending a little bit of time on this, to try to get all the evidence out there that there's a possibility there was some foreknowledge of this event depicted in 2 movies called White Noise by the same name. Unbelievable. Now, the derailment happened days before the actual explosion. It says a controlled release of the cancer-causing chemicals was done by the railroad company on Monday, February 6th, to avert a possible explosion. So they lit it on fire 4 days after the train wreck. Hundreds of East Palestine residents were evacuated from their homes prior to the release, but have since been told it is safe for them to return. And there were several, what was I going to say here? Let's keep reading it. The most likely way it will enter someone's body is by breathing it in, but it can also be ingested via contaminated drinking water. Chemical travels through the body, and the blood and liver will break down into other chemicals, some of which can cause more damage than the vinyl chloride itself. Breathing high levels of gas can make you dizzy and give you a headache, but it can be deadly. So they intentionally lit this thing on fire. People are like, why the heck would you do that? Well, that remains to be seen. Probably wanted to get the rail lines open. When breathed in over many years, it can cause liver and nerve damage and leave people with a weakened immune system. Exposure to the gas is also associated with heightened risk of rare form of liver cancer, as well as primary liver cancer, brain and lung cancers, lymphoma, and leukemia. When burned, vinyl chloride creates hydrogen chloride and phosgene, a highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that can cause vomiting, breathing trouble, and was used as a chemical weapon in World War I. I'll put links to all this in the pinned comment, as I always do. Let's go back into the chat. I know that was a long show, you guys. I'm going to give you the opportunity for any feedback that you want to share in the chat. Hopefully I did this decode justice, and now you're seeing the complete picture of what is going on. Yes, the streams lead to the Ohio River, which leads into the Mississippi River. This could contaminate the entire Mississippi River, which would be all of our food in the Midwest, drinking water, and everything else. Good thing I caught those trout before all this happened. Well, actually, it had already happened. So, I have a feeling have not seen the end of this, just like I had a feeling the 99 red balloon, the first balloon we saw, wasn't the end of the 99 red balloons. I have a feeling that there will be other mass fish die-offs along the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, sadly. All right, let's go into the chat here. Good morning, everybody. Why are they screening out comments that show the cross? That is just weird. Yes, hit the like button. It shares this video. Heidi's 2 hours from Ohio. We can't just leave. Pray. Yes, we just need to pray then. A lot of you that there's no way to leave. I know a lot of you live in Pennsylvania. Talk to many of you personally. So our prayers are going out to you. At least you're equipped. The media is trying to downplay this, but at least you're equipped to know how to protect yourself, right? No weapon shall prosper, the Bible says. So God's not going to leave you hanging out to dry. And even if something does happen, you have eternity if you've been saved, don't you? So there's no need for fear. Yes, more truths will be revealed as time moves on. Feels like time is speeding up. Yeah, I can barely stay on top of all this. I have not stopped in an entire week. Literally non-stop. Sun up to sundown, you guys. Trying to stay on top of this stuff so that we're not caught unawares, so that we're not perishing because of lack of knowledge. All right. What else? Welcome everyone. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. The channel has come under a recent attack, copyright attack. It's one song that I played in a lot of my videos from the past. For some reason, the algorithms have adjusted, and I've literally, now I'm up to 40 copyright. They're not strikes, but they're basically notices, and any one of those can turn into a strike. So go on to this main channel here, click on the channel, and you'll see a tab that says channels. And there you'll see all my backup channels. I can't take all the time to link for every single person that asks for it. So you got to take your own initiative, go on my channel, and you will see it says a channels tab, and click on that and subscribe to those backup channels, because we will not stop. If we lose this channel, we'll go to the backup channel that has 60,000 subscribers and we'll do videos over there. But the algorithms have changed. The change occurred shortly before the Super Bowl. Something changed on YouTube where the algorithms have gotten better at finding copyright material. And so they basically have gone through and just wreaked havoc on this channel. Now what I've done is I've edited that copyright content out of those videos. It takes a little while, but you have the opportunity to edit that out. So what you're going to notice is that a lot of my old videos will be all chopped up. You'll hear sound dropping out. You'll see clips dropping out. You'll hear me coming in and out of, the conversation, and that's because I've had to remove that content. So they're basically dismantling this channel. And that's why it's so important to show up to the live shows, because then you get the content unadulterated and uninterrupted, except for today, which was really weird. I've had that happen one other time. We were going over some very sensitive information, and it's like a beam came out of the sky and killed my internet. I think after that show from before, I had to call up the internet company, and they said, and I had a conversation with the guy on the other line, and he said, sometimes this happens. There's a black program, he called it. A black program where the federal government can come over and override. I hope I don't get this guy in trouble for sharing this with me. They can come in and override anyone's and interrupt anybody's internet connection that they want to from the sky. He goes, I don't see that happening on this account. He goes, but we've heard of it happening on other people's account. They literally zap and kill your internet. I was like, wow. And then he's like, I've said too much. He called it like a black program, I think is what the word black was in it. I can't remember what else he said. But I talked about this in a previous video that many of you will remember. Yeah, like a kill switch. Thanks, Marion. Absolutely. So that kind of happened on this show. The internet just dropped out for no reason. There's no wind in the sky. There's no rain. It's a clear day. We're moving along, and boom, the internet dropped out. And had I not caught it, that would have really messed up our stream, wouldn't it have? So we're back on track. No fear. You guys, if anyone had, was to be afraid, it would be a person like me, right? So hopefully that gives you hope. You don't have to be afraid. I'm the guy they're going to take out one day, if God ever removes his protections from me. So you don't have to worry. God is protecting you. Just believe that. Pray about it. And definitely, if you have not been saved and you see all this stuff happening, you see the premonitions coming to pass on this channel, all of that credit goes to the Most High and His Son, Jesus Christ. Okay? And so this should be a testament to His glory. And this should prompt you, if you haven't already, to believe in Him. Not me, I'm just a guy. Him, for revealing these things to you before they've happened. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to go over some headlines tomorrow, between the headlines, because I'm getting worn out on these film decodes. I'm exhausted. But there are a couple more episodes of The Last of Us, so there may be a little bit of that mixed in to tomorrow's show. We're going to also look at headlines. The 99 balloons, now we're up to close to 99 sightings or balloons. It's happening. We got Forbes actually saying, look at it. I have to show you this one before we leave, for those of you that stuck it out, okay? This is unbelievable. Markets higher as investors ignore Nina's 99 red balloons. February 13th, 2023. They're basically saying that the Asian markets are ignoring the balloon gate. Forbes confirming our 2017 discovery of the 99 red balloons. Unbelievable. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care and be safe.